Moody Cafe is one of my most popular presets that I tend to sell, and you can grab this one over on my website, but I thought today I'll take you through some of the highlights that actually make up this preset. Now, the Moody Cafe is a really good style to be able to do. It's a great one if you want to try and uniform a lot of different kind of coloured spaces, and as you guess, I mostly use it for coffee, cafe, based kind of stuff, that real like sort of dark and moody Instagram shot you might get. And the reason I love this preset so much is because it follows that black tone vibe that I do on a lot of my edits, but focuses more on those warmer colours, so perfect for those kind of coffee sort of shots. So the aim is really to suck out some of those colours, focus in on some real particular ones, give everything else a real nice kind of clean matte finished look and a good dark vibe to create that real moody cozy style. So sit back, relax, let's jump into Lightroom and have a look at how we're going to edit and create this preset. So we're going to work with this photo today of a cafe. You can see it's quite bright already, so we want to darken this down a lot. We've also got a lot of colours in here, a lot of bright yellows, so we want to tone all of these down to try and get that dark moody vibe that we're after, but whilst keeping that bit of warmth in there. So let's look at the basic edit panel first then. For these, what I tend to do quite a lot is just suck out the highlights first of all. We're going to bring those right the way down there then, just to help any of that glare coming through the window. And equally, I'm going to push the shadows up a little bit just to try and flatten out the image. And you can see that's really worked well down here. With the blacks then, because I want to almost make this be a bit more contrasty and stand out, be nice and crisp, I'm going to drop my blacks to around the 30 mark. Whites as well then, I'm also going to pull all the way down. Just give myself that kind of nice flat image to start out with there. You can see as I put these side by side then, we've just really tamed down that light that's coming through, but also we see we've got rid of a bit of that glare that's on the table. Down into the present section now with this tone quite a lot. If you imagine some of the other photos that were there at the start, we saw like the close-ups on the beans and things, you want to bring out the clarity, those details in them. So we're going to do a combination of sharpening and boosting the clarity here. But remember, not too far. So let's pull this clarity up to around the 23 mark. And also with the dehaze then, let's pull that up to about 10. And again, the dehaze really works well at sort of darkening down the image. You see as I pull it all the way to the side, it darkens down a lot of those shadow areas. But we don't want it to look that aggressive. We're going to do some masking to help that later on. Finally, with the vibrance, we're just going to make sure that some of those orange colours pop a little bit more when we get down to tackling with them. So we're going to boost our vibrance. And I'm just going to overall look at desaturating to start with. Moving down to the tone curve then. Now I'm not going to do any colour work in the tone curve, I'm purely just going to use this for the contrast side. So we're going to start with our S shape and put 3 points in globally across there. And we're going to leave the midtones alone, but I'm going to first of all just pull down my shadow area. I'm going to make another point as well, just to really tackle those darkest points. And you can see that's us trying to really separate out between that light and dark. Now with a lot of the Moody Cafe type presets that I have, I tend to raise the blacks. Remember, as you raise these blacks up, you can see that you get that kind of faded look, but if you go too far, it doesn't look great. So we're just going to lift that a little bit there. Likewise up at the top, I'm just going to increase this slightly here, just to get that nice glare across the table. And again, I'm just going to flatten this a bit and pull this down up that end. Quick toggle on and off of that. You can see it's just punching in a little bit more contrast into there. Now this is the point where I would probably go back up top, and where we missed our contrast slider before, I'm just going to boost that globally a little bit more there, because I don't want to go any further with what I've done in my tone curve. So this is looking good, it's looking a lot more crisper, a lot more sharper. The problem is here now we've introduced the contrast, is we've put the saturation up on a lot of these colours. But that's okay. We're going to come down now into the calibration, into the HSL sliders, and we're going to look at what colours we want to target. Looking at this photo, we've got some greens, we've got reds, we've got a lot of warm colours in here. Now with that moody coffee vibe, you want to really suck out anything that's got cool colours in there and leave behind anything that's the warm colours. So for this then, we're going to look to try and remove as much as possible on that greens and blues. We're going to unify these oranges and yellows and reds that are in the image a little bit more and try and get that sort of unified look that we had in these photos at the start. So we'll go back to the calibration in a second. Let's look at the HSL sliders first. Similar to the black tone video that I've got on the channel, we're first of all going to suck out the colours that we don't want. So we mentioned that's going to be your cool colours. So we're going to go down here and let's suck out anything that's cool. We're going to push them right the way towards the 90% side of things. I'm going to leave some in there just in case you have people and you want to not mess around too much with skin tones. We can use our colour thing and pull this down and see that we got our aqua and a blue colour in there the most. So let's first of all decrease our aqua quite far down. And then let's also pull our blue down as well. Now I quite like the blue in this image more, so I'm going to leave some of that in there. So you see I'm not completely sucking the colors out. That shade, it's just still there slightly in the blacks. Green as well then, I'm going to pull that right the way down. And then for the purples and the magentas, there's not really anything in this image that's working with them, so I'm just going to suck these out completely. You might want to leave a little bit of it in, just so it's muted against those warm colors that are in there as well. So before I do the saturation here, I just want to try and unify them with the hues a little bit up top first. So going in with the reds first, then let's just push that a little bit more towards the oranges. And same with the yellows, let's push that a bit more towards the orange as well. And we'll just do a quick toggle on and off of that. So you can see we're already taken away some of the distractions, not just the couch there, but actually we've tackled that door in the background as well. So now that I've got those set, let's go back down into our saturation and see if we want to reduce anything here. Reds I'm fairly happy with. I'm going to boost the saturations on the oranges just to get those warm tones out a bit more. And on the yellows there, I'm just going to decrease the saturation so the oranges is really overriding this. Remember that these sliders here, as you apply this preset from photo to photo, they are not going to be exact. You want to tweak these. This is why I'm trying to explain the theory side to you as well, just so you've got an understanding of what it is you need to make work for the photo that you're using. And finally down into the luminance. So for this we want to make some of the colors pop and we want to make some of them a lot darker. So we're trying to work out which ones do we want to stand out, which ones do we want to push into the background. I'm going to follow the same vibe as what we had before, which is the orange is my main highlight color that's going to be happening in this preset. So I'm going to pull this one up. My yellows then, I could go either way, but let's see if I pull this down, what's going to happen to the image. You see we get that darker vibe in the brick colors there. If I pull it up, we get much more a brighter vibe. So this can go either way with what we want to do here. Let's see about leaving it a bit brighter to begin with. And then down into the others, what I tend to do here is we're going to decrease the colors. Purple and magenta, bring that down. Blues, I'm going to pull down as well. And our aquas, and you can see that we're making that sofa even darker, that's there. And then greens as well. So that's looking a lot nicer, and let's just toggle that on and off quickly and see the effects that we've had. Use the calibration to help unify your colors even further then. So with the hues on the red channel, I'm just going to push those slightly across there. And then same with the green channel as well. I'm just going to boost this a little bit and pull the saturation down. Saturation is entirely personal preference here. But again, very, very subtle differences. It's just to pull those colors a little bit more together into the orange tone. That's all looking good. We're going to leave the color grading alone because we got what we wanted out of the HSL sliders down here. We do want to make sure all of our lines are nice and crisp on this. We've already increased the clarity slightly there. We're going to add some sharpening in as well. But remember, as you're increasing the sharpening, to use your masking to tackle the areas you want to by hitting the option on your keyboard. That's going to highlight, show you exactly what you're sharpening. You want to really just be going for those outlines of things if we've already boosted the clarity, and that's just going to give us a little bit more of a sharpness to our image there. And then finally, we're going to add a vignette onto this as well. So let's add that on top. We're going to decrease that midpoint, make it a little bit more natural, as we've got that big window there, and I want to try and really darken everything else around it. There's no highlights really to worry about in this one, that's fine. We're just going to feather that a little bit more there. And that is something that I would put on every one of these presets here. Just really drive the eye into the middle, but if you're going for that dark and moody look, it's a great trick to help pull the eye into where you want on the composition. Now looking at this image, we're pretty much nearly done there. I can put in some extra masking, but one thing I am going to do is come back up here then, and those yellows are still bothering me slightly. Now I'm mostly looking at it down on this brick column. So I could use some masking here to actually pull out the color and desaturate these columns into a bit more of like a concrete gray. Or I can go back up and actually I could reduce my yellow saturation even further down there. You see, as I've done that, I've kind of muted the brickwork a little bit more, but I now have that nice grey concrete block coming down here that just helps separate out those warm colours. So again, if we pull that back, we reduce that out. So that's quite nice, and I'm just going to pull my oranges up a little bit more to compensate for some of the yellow that I've sucked out from these lamps up here. But again, these are the personal taste sliders when using this preset. So finally, I can go into my masking and I can look to just put in a little bit more brightness here and there. Again, just to draw the eye into places. I'll go for quite wide brush strokes and just be really quick with this. But if I come over that table, and I'm also going to just hit up on these lamps as well. And all I'm looking to do there is just boost my exposure slightly on this. Very rushed on the masking, but it's just that final trick to help pop out our subject that will where we want the eyes to be drawn to. So quick before and after, and there we have it. That is our Moody Cafe preset. If you want to get the pack of this, you can grab them on my website in the link below, or you can have a go at doing this yourself. There are some variations in the pack to have a play around with. Again, this is a really cool style. I love doing this one. The dark tone is one of my favorite styles to work with. This is a very versatile preset. You can see that you could go the opposite way if you want to suck out all the warm colors and have all the cool colors in. Mostly the kind of warm, cozy vibes that people would want to use this preset for. The warm colors are going to work best. So I hope you found this useful. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.